Zubair Saab, thank you so much for a very inspirational talk. I think you have set the stage for a great conference, and your experiences with IBM and with the government, and of course with the Privatization Commission, and more recently with the province of Sindh will be noted. Thank you for your contribution to Pakistan and wishing you more success ahead. May I please request the President of ICAP, Mr. Riaz Chamdia, to come up on stage and present a souvenir and a memento to the Honorable Governor of Sindh, Mr. Mohammad Zubair, at the CFO Conference 2018. Thank you so much, sir. Okay, thank you so much, Zubair Saab. Now we will move on with the program with the next speaker. Of course, a gentleman who needs no introduction. Yes, I'm talking about Dr. Ishrat Hussain Saab. Thank you so much, Dr. Saab, for coming to the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Pakistan. And when the concept of mental model is being spoken about, this is going to be our keynote speech called A Mental Model Evolution, the Adaptive Cruise Control of Competitive Edge. Of course, Dr. Ishrat does not require any introduction, but I would like to give you a background in terms of Dr. Saab's contributions. Dr. Ishrat Hussain was until recently the Public Policy Fellow at the Woodrow Wilson Center in Washington, D.C. He is also Professor Emeritus at IBA and Chairman, Center of Excellence in Islamic Finance. He serves as Dean and Director of the Institute of Administration, Karachi. He served as the Chairman, National Commission for Government Reforms for 2 years, from 2006 to 2008, with the status of Federal Minister reporting directly to the President and Prime Minister of Pakistan. He was appointed as the Governor of Pakistan's Central Bank in December 1999. During the next 6 years, he implemented a major program of restructuring of the central bank and steered the reforms of the banking sector. As a member of the economic management team of the government, he played a key role in the impressive economic turnaround of Pakistan. In recognition of his meritorious services, he was conferred with the prestigious award of Hilal-e-Imtiaz by the President of Pakistan in 2003 and Nishan-e-Imtiaz later in 2016. And another important prestigious award, which is obviously proud for Pakistan as well, the Banker magazine of London declared him as the Central Bank Governor of the Year for Asia in 2005. Dr. Saab, thank you so much for your contribution, and may I request you to please come on stage for your presentation. Thank you. Would you like to use this?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. President and Council members of the Institute of Chartered Accountants Pakistan, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to thank ICAP for inviting me once again to this very important event, which is the CFO conference. I just wanted to pick up on one particular remark the Honorable Governor made, and I wanted to emphasize that one of my major contributions, of which I am proud, is to persuade the Council of ICAP to grant exemption from 6 papers to the students of the BS Accounting and Finance, and after taking the articleship and the other papers, they would have both a degree and also a professional qualification like the chartered accountant. And this is based on my observation that whenever I travel, I find that the Pakistani chartered accountants are in heavy demand. But the pass percentage is so low that we are not able to cater to the demand both in the country as well as outside. And that made me think that what is the reason as to why good quality people do not appear at this very prestigious professional exam. There is no formal instructional vehicle through which people can prepare themselves. There are tuition centers, there are coaching classes, people do on their own. But bringing in the best and the brightest, which come to IBA, we would be able to contribute not only professionals who are well-versed in their field, but also are well-rounded. Because in IBA and other institutions, we also emphasize on social and soft skills, excuse me, which is extremely important. Communication skills, interpersonal skills, leadership skills, which is very essential for a CFO of any organization to assert themselves. And I'm so glad that this model was not only successful in Pakistan, in IBA, students transferred from BBA to the BS Accounting and Finance. And the competition for the seats for BS Accounting and Finance was much tougher as compared to the other disciplines. So you have now a pipeline of highly qualified professionals who will be entering your institute and enhancing the standards of this profession. And I'm very glad that the council then extended this particular model, which we initiated. It was a tough call. I tell you, I spent one whole year convincing the members of the council on this particular field. But it's now been extended to many other institutions. So this is something I thought I would share with this house, because I feel extremely proud of this contribution to the profession which I initiated. I'm also very, very happy that ICAP has taken the initiative to start a dialogue, and this is an ongoing conversation about evolving mental models. And I would argue that one of the major stumbling blocks in Pakistan for higher economic and social goals is the mindset and the national psyche, whereby anything which is negative, which is full of sensation, is believed completely. And anything which has to be positive or which really puts the country in a very favorable light is considered a gimmick or a public relation exercise. I worked on 50 countries in the world when I was at the World Bank for 20 years. And I can tell you, if the countries do not have that self-confidence and a mental model of positive thinking, can-do attitude, we are going to be left behind. So I'm so happy that ICAP has adopted this particular theme. And it is not just one session. It is an ongoing exercise until we reach the goal. I'd like to start as to why the mental models have to be changed by giving you a snapshot of what is happening in the global economy. We cannot be insulated from what is happening in the global economy. Developing countries have gained during the last 25 years in terms of all economic and social indicators, and have displaced the West and countries as a major contributor to the global economic growth. PricewaterhouseCoopers has predicted that by 2025, out of the top 10 countries on the world as far as the economy is concerned, only 3 will be from the Western world, and 7 of them will be from among the developing countries. And this happened because of the globalization and the promotion of international trade. The growth of international trade was twice as fast excuse me, as the world output growth. So if the world GDP was growing by 3%, the world trade was growing by 6%. And China, when it decided to integrate itself with the world economy and open up in 1980s, it had 1.2 billion people. It was a very large market, and they could have an inward-looking, strategy. But they didn't. They considered international trade to be the vehicle for their economic and social development. And today, as I speak, China has become the largest exporting nation in the world, beating Germany and the United States. And in a few years' time, China is also going to become the world's largest economy. Our next door neighbor was growing at 3%, and poverty was increasing until 1990. Narasimha Rao decided to open up the economy and completely do away with the license Raj, because India was a very much insular country detached from the rest of the world. And since 1990, as compared to a 3% growth rate, India is now the second fastest growing country in the world with 6 to 7% growth rate. And it has made a remarkable achievement in reducing poverty. Now, this preface I wanted to place before you because I'm deeply concerned as to what is happening in the world today. Since Mr. Trump has taken over the leadership of the United States, we are drifting away from globalization and from international trade, which are the engines of growth. And it is China, and President Xi went to Davos and argued in favor of the globalization, while the US is saying America first. The populist sentiment in whole of Europe, where Britain decides to exit the European Union, and the rightist parties are gaining momentum in Italy, in Netherlands, in France, in Germany, is something we have to be very seriously concerned. I'm concerned because the growth momentum of our developing countries, which are still very much behind the Western countries, may be jeopardized and may be stifled. So this populist sentiment, trade war between the United States and China is a very dangerous sign and a risk to the global economy. The second trend, which I would like you to absorb, because we're talking of the mental models, is that the technological advances in the world have become a powerful disruptive force as far as the current pattern of employment, production, and exchange of goods and services is concerned. And let me elaborate this with some of my concerns about technology. Even in the most advanced countries, Technologies are moving faster than policymakers' capacity to understand or keep track with the advances which are being made, and let alone come up with the policies and regulation. Amazon, Facebook, Google, Microsoft are beyond the reach of any regulator policy because the network effects are working in their favor and the law of diminishing returns does not affect them. And that is something where there is going to be a gap between the technology companies and the policy makers and the regulators. The other concern I have is this digital revolution is creating inequities, and Trump and the Brexit took advantage of that. Low-paid, job-related roles are in the greatest danger of elimination as automation threatens. Just in England, they have estimated that 44% of the existing jobs would disappear by 2025. So the people who do not have the access to digital devices will either be left behind or they will lose their livelihoods. And this is not only affecting the low paid, but this technological online commerce has eliminated companies like Sears and JCPenney because Amazon is now a big player and so is Alibaba. So this inequity is something we should worry about. And if we do not equip our own younger population with the digital skills and the infrastructure for that, we would be in difficulty. The third concern I have about technological advances is that cyber fraud, cyber crimes, cyber warfare, and hacking devices have become a potential threat for industrial espionage, for making bank accounts empty, steal information, and engage in a technological warfare. And the capacity of the regulators to provide cybersecurity lags way behind the knowledge and the advances as far as the companies themselves are concerned. My fourth concern about technological revolution is that of the loss of privacy of the private data. Because anytime you are on internet or you're using any other social media device, your information is being collected by Facebook and Google and being sold to advertisers who then use it for commercial and also some non-commercial purposes. So whatever you are doing is now being watched by the big brother, and privacy is a problem which is very much a cause for all of us to preserve our privacy and not being completely in the public space. The next problem which I have come across during my days at IBA is that the frequent use of the smartphones is making humans less intelligent and socially deficient. They are getting narrow skills and short span attention. And human relationships have been replaced by the social media. So even if you want to go and see your grandmother after a long time, you are busy with your WhatsApp, with your Facebook, and there's no communication between the family members as far as the social dialogue is concerned. And the social relationships are extremely critical for any country and for any economy to advance. So given these challenges, what is a CEO or a CFO or a management team should be doing? I would submit that the talent management, which is recruiting, retaining, nurturing, and developing human resources, has to be given the same attention by the highest decision makers of the companies as they give it to capital. Capital per se is going to recede in importance, and it will be the talent which will actually be the driver of growth for the companies, given the picture I have painted before you. You have increasing maturity of artificial intelligence and robotics. You have growing traction of blockchain and distributed ledger technology. You have digital and cyber security challenges. This will not be just in some part of the world, and we consider that that's not going to affect it. This is very much going to affect you. And I would suggest that it's not only the qualification, the academic training, or the repetitive job deployment which will lead you to the development of the kind of talent you require, but it is based on lifelong learning. "20 years ago, the jobs which were in heavy demand have completely disappeared, and new jobs are coming in. So if you do not really invest in what I consider is the lifelong learning in an uncertain, in an ambiguous, and a complex world where your content and knowledge is becoming obsolescent, I think you would be at complete disadvantage as far as your own company is concerned. So continuous reskilling of workers and rethinking of the education delivery models is something we together must try to think about. The other trend which I feel is missing in Pakistan, we have too many silos. So we have sales department, we have finance department, we have marketing department, and we don't talk to each other. Everybody is doing what they want to do. That model is just not going to work. The future lies in interdisciplinary and cross-functional teams and vertical hierarchical structures, layers and turfs are passé. So if you want to produce results, you have to work as a team across different functions. But I am sorry to say that both in the private sector and the government in Pakistan, we come across, भाई ये मेरा काम नहीं है, ये सेल्स डिपार्टमेंट का काम है, ये मेरे डिपार्टमेंट में नहीं है, ये किसी और डिपार्टमेंट में है, वहाँ जाओ. Now that mindset has to be changed if you really want to make a difference to the talent development and the continuous relearning process. So I end up with the picture which I would like to paint about Pakistan. Despite all the current uncertainties and challenges, the same PricewaterhouseCoopers and many others have predicted that Pakistan can become one of the top 20 economies in the world by 2025. Now, a lot of people discount it, they ridicule it, they say, oh, आपके reserves तो नीचे जा रहे हैं, आपके balance of payment का problem है, ये आप कैसे हो जाएंगे? Now, we were the third fastest growing country after China and India between 2002 to 2008. We were growing at 7.5%. And between 1950 to 1990, Pakistan was one of the top performers in the world as far as the developing countries are concerned. We were growing by 6% per annum, while India was growing at 3% per annum. So we have done it, and we can do it, provided we have to change our mental model. And each one of you who is a professional has to take upon themselves the responsibility to make the contribution as far as the productivity is concerned. Our farm productivity is among the lowest. Our manufacturing sector is stuck with old machines with a low capacity utilization because the rejection rate is quite high. Our professional advice lacks ethical standards. And if we do not reverse these present trends, we would definitely not be able to make it to the top 20. But I'm an optimist, and I believe that we can do it, provided we evolve our mental model and say, whatever we do, whether you are a chartered accountant, or whether you are a doctor, or whether you are an engineer, we will do it to the best of our ability, best of our capacity, and we will continue to improve ourselves and our skills. It is the human beings which are going to decide whether Pakistan can enter the top 20 or it will remain a marginal player in the global economy. It's up to you and me. Thank you very much.